Hi everybody, welcome to the Rant-A-Way podcast, where we don't just talk about our favorite things, we rant away about them. I've got my co-host with me and his killer cat partner in crime, Kira. Money Green, was happening.
What's going on with you, man? How you doing?
It's Sunday. It's my days off.
You actually got it? Oh yeah. Well, I mean, you're here, so
yeah.
Unless you're about to do this and then run into work.
Hey to the no.
Don't answer your phone today.
Absolutely not. I'll purposely drive by my job just to tell them no.
We're gonna put in a few hours while you're here, Murray.
Nah, I'm good. Nah, I'm gonna do my own thing.
There you go. So we got some what we got. I think last episode. It has been a minute. I'm trying to remember. I should have did more homework. I did some homework. I should have did more. The last one was the fun one. I think. Not really serious, but yeah, we was talking about favorite characters from movies, games.
Oh yeah.
I don't think we did TV show. Did we do TV? I don't think we did TV shows. No, we did anime.
We did not do TV shows. We just kind of did a broad stroke of like media that we've seen. But yeah, no TV was mentioned.
Yeah, we did anime. There's some housekeeping to do. You want to do housekeeping now, or you want to do housekeeping at the end?
What does that mean?
Housekeeping as in some stuff that we've talked about before has been in the news lately a little bit.
Well, what has been in the news? Other than someone trying to get assassinated, which is definitely not cool.
Oh yeah, definitely not. But no, you know, we usually go lighter than that. But Concord, the beta dropped for that. You remember Concord? That game that was at the PlayStation Showcase and was kind of looking like it had Guardians of the Galaxy vibes.
Oh yeah, I was like, it's too early in the morning for this.
Until they revealed it to be another live action shooter. You know, the usual that we've got.
Oh, so it's just another like one of those like just Sony's attempt at like let's have like an Overwatch, let's have our Valorant kind of thing.
Well, funnily and actually, that's very good because looking at it, it looks to me like Valorant.
Mm-hmm.
People are calling it an Overwatch clone because, you know, I guess Overwatch is still the gold standard.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not an Overwatch killer, it's an Overwatch clone. So they're calling this one the Overwatch clone, and it's bombing pretty hard right now.
Oh no! Who could have seen this coming? I didn't know what game you were talking about until you said Guardians of the Galaxies, and I'm like, where have I seen something like that before in like video games? Because I didn't know what we were going to be talking about today. So like, this kind of helps narrow it down.
That's just a little pit stop. Although it does relate to what we will be talking about today. But
oh no,
that's just a pit stop. Yeah, no, it's betas out, and unlike Marvel Rivals, this one is having the adverse opposite effect where nobody's really rocking with it at all. Like I said, I remember we watched it, and I put in some comment somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, yeah, me and my boy was watching this, and we was like, you know, I think I was kind of hyped. I think he was just like interested in seeing where it was going. And then as soon as we saw it was just gonna be a team-based shooter, live action, blah blah blah, both of our interests just plummeted, and you know, we could not be any less bothered with it. And I guess, you know, in a good way, the rest of the public isn't messing with it either.
Okay, so I guess everyone's kind of getting tired of like wild zany characters with gun. Sounds like they're like 16, 17 years old and just kind of mindlessly completing an objective. Like, truth be told, I wouldn't mind like that aspect of a looter shooter, hero shooter concept thing or whatever. It just needs a story mode. Like, world building can make a world of difference when you have games like this, because I remember, to go back on Overwatch, because that was kind of my first into it, seeing these characters with all these different stories and then going, oh wow, that's going to be in a video game, I want to see how that's going to play out, only to then get it and be like, oh, we're pushing a payload, but what does this mean to the story? And like, why is there a Widowmaker on our team? and I'm playing Tracer. Like, I'm confused, you know? So it was like moments like that. So if they could have solidified that world building and actually put an in-game story in there and have it make sense to the overall goal of it, kind of like Team Fortress 2, it'd be like, all right, I'm cool with this. But I think Sony had like maybe 12 or 20 like live service games that they wanted to try to crank out, and it was just not feasible just because of all the resources that they already have like in the red line. And it's like, why chase a trend when you can just try to be your own thing? But I don't know, maybe Sony is so high up on the mountain huffing its own fumes with Xbox being Xbox and Nintendo staying in its corner that they don't feel like they need to I guess be challenged by anyone or even themselves. So yeah, Concord is I would say dead on arrival from what it sounds like. But you know what
Well,
game
yeah, they're
isn't
not.
dead on arrival? Forspoken.
Forspoken was dead on arrival, but anyway,
Bork?
um, Concord. Oh, Sony. Yeah,
You
Sony is
said
definitely
corn
not
chord? Yeah,
challenging.
I'll play some corn chord. Yeah, let me get that cob.
Whatever. Concord, Connecticut, Maine. There's a Concord. There's a Concord in Mass too, isn't there?
It sounds like there would be, yeah.
But yeah, no, that game is whack. And I think
Concord?
everybody's tired of the yeah. I think
Okay.
everybody is getting to be tired of the the team shooters and whatever story mode. I mean, because I mean, does Helldivers has a story mode? No.
I don't know. But I know it's got a good gameplay loop to keep people engaged.
Like to me personally, like I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm the story guy. I mean, yeah, yeah. Give me a good story, because I mean, I know I'm gonna catch heat for this. Like Elden Ring is not really doing it for me. You know what's funny? I was playing a sports game yesterday. Don't hiss at me. Um, and I almost broke my controller. And then I
Okay.
texted one of my other friends. I texted one of my other friends. I was like, let it be known, it wasn't a Souls-like game or an Elden Ring or whatever that made me break a controller. It was a sports game that made me break a controller. And then I had to almost break my hand to fix the controller because I like jammed my L1 and L2, so I had to like unjam it, and that
Mm-hmm.
mean hitting it real hard. Um, so yeah, and it was like, yeah, this is a sports game. But yeah, no, I mean,
Sports games are a product of the devil, and this is why people you need to keep your remote safe and off of the video game, basketball, esports streets.
those
Bless.
those 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 Souls games and then the gameplay games and whatever. I mean, shout out to anybody who's loving Elden Ring. I know a lot of people are, but yeah, it just doesn't do it for me, bro.
Yeah, and that's totally fine.
And
Like if it's not your cup of
it's
tea, that's totally normal. That's where
and it's the
real
same
diversity
thing.
is at.
It's the same thing with these live action shooters and whatever. Because I mean, one, there's just too many of them,
Yeah, there's too many to
and
keep
two, it's
count
like
of. They all
they're
blend
all
in.
trying to be like each other, and like there's very little to no originality, and I mean, none of them really for like the people, Like I mean, I could have got down. So I guess we'll get into this topic first. I could have got down with the Overwatch thing being, I remember how either it was Jeff Kaplan or somebody said, "Yo, it was a three-part phase. Part one was supposed to be the you know the team versus team, multiplayer aspect of the thing. The second game was supposed to be the story, and we're gonna bring in the story and get in that. And
Mm-hmm.
then the third part was supposed to be like the MMO. Like, if that was the original plan and not just some hot air they're blowing at us now to try to, justify why it's all going awry and whatever the case may be. I mean, I guess I could have seen that through and seen where they was going with that. If Overwatch 2 was gonna be the story, I could have got down with that, because I mean, long-standing Overwatch fans like yourself and other ones that I see around are dying for like a movie, an anime, a show, or whatever the case may be, or even like a story-based game to just put into perspective like everything that's been going on. Like, we get the teasers with the shorts, but they're teasers, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
put out something completely fluid, tell the story that you guys have, all these characters, you know what I mean? Like, they're not just dropping characters with nothing. They're dropping characters with these elaborate backgrounds and deep relations to other characters, and they've been hitting that characters in Overwatch 2 from Overwatch 1. Like people be like, "Oh yeah, this thing was in Overwatch 1 and it was in that this character and that character and that character." And I'm like, so the lore is deep, it's there.
Yeah. And honestly, with the
I
way they've been dropping it lately, I think I can't remember who like beforehand Maga, but I'm just gonna jump from Maga. I don't have a problem with him as a tank, by the way. When I saw his short, there was just something about the level of quality that made me think of like Rainbow Six Siege. So like, I don't know, like the last time you like you were on Rainbow Six Siege, but like sometimes you'll log into it, it'll do some massive update just to like change the start menu from here to the right side of your screen, and it's like 80 gigs now, but they'll always start with like these character intros before you press the start to begin your game. And I just sit there and think like, where is this story going? Like, what is this game even about other than like just stopping terrorists? You know, it's so far removed from that as like as far as a Tom Clancy game goes that like I'm just like what is the point of your story? Like you need to warrant the game's existence if you're gonna go this route with it. And I don't think Overwatch 2 is doing a good job with it as much as it should. And then obviously with them trying to walk back the whole, oh, we're not gonna give you the story mode because resources just aren't in the cards for it. It's not going to be a good investment, only to then be like, okay, we're going to give you the story, but we're going to, charge you for it. And if I'm remembering correctly, I think at one point before Overwatch 2 was like officially released, there was like a $40 version floating around that I know a lot of people bought, my little brother included, but he doesn't really play Overwatch like that, so I don't know if that was like 40 spent, 40 wasted, but it's in shambles with the way they're the handling that game, because you like, it's like walking into a room, it's empty, the person who led you into the room slammed the door and then like threw the key away and then ran off down the stairs, and it's like, well, what else am I supposed to do here, So for me, since I know I'm not getting a story, I gotta pivot to the next thing that I like, which is the gameplay element of it. And if the gameplay doesn't work, then it's like, well, there goes 2 out of the 3 things that made me like this game, and I can't really gel with it as much. So yeah.
Here's a pivotal question I want to ask to you, a deep Overwatch fan. Is Overwatch dead?
No. As long as as long as the player count is more than 1, it is not dead. Or excuse me, as long as it's up to at least 10, because you need at least 10 players to start a game.
So we're going by literal here.
Yes, we're going by literal numbers. There are people who are still going to want to come home and play Overwatch because that is their comfort game. There are going to be people who are so far removed from the conversations that we're having about it right now and the other bigger conversations that take place about it that like they legit just don't care. There's also people that will dip their head in to see what the news is about Overwatch and then never touch base with it again. So for all they know, what they heard was good or what they heard was bad, but they can't be bothered enough to be as involved with it like say we are. So yeah, no, it's not dead. It's not dead.
Because I was thinking like what it was originally supposed to be, or what it seemed like it was even originally supposed to be, like the heart of it. You know what I mean? Like obviously the transition from 1 to 2, like you said,
It
the
was
story has
rough.
just been, yeah, it's just been mishandled. Like it's kind of like you're kind of like looking at like a Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super kind of thing, where it's like, yeah, Overwatch 2 is just here just to make money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It does make its attempts at engaging the players, and it has story elements, and it has, like, you know what I mean? Like the stuff is there if you really want it to be there, if you really want to justify its existence or whatever. But I mean, there's no real justification for Overwatch 2, in my opinion. Because I mean, Overwatch 1 was the same thing, except it had an extra player on each team, and less of the new heroes. In 2, they take away a player from each team, which people are complaining about massively now. And they put some new players in, and they're putting in new maps. Oh, and we got Battle Pass. So that's what I'm saying. Like nothing really positive has come from
Yeah,
Overwatch
like
2,
all like the
really.
worst elements of this type of gaming is now in a game that was so far removed from that, and it was just like again, the loot box mechanic like was done from Overwatch, but it was done very well, and it wasn't in your face, and it wasn't constantly like sticking its hand in your wallet while you were trying to play. Like, you just genuinely felt like, okay, if I wanted to play this freemium, I can do that and not be pressured to like buy something. Whereas like Overwatch now, it's very much so trying to pressure you into like trying to buy these things. I think I heard recently that Apex took their battle pass, divided it in two, but you still have to pay full price for like part one before you get part two. So like that's the level of greed that we're starting to get to, because I don't know, maybe their numbers are showing that people are buying these things or that they're engaging with them, but I just think that's ridiculous.
No, you know what? You know what I think it is. I think that a practice. Nah, I can't really say it's a practice that started with Overwatch 2, but it was a practice that I noticed heavily in Overwatch 2, where they definitely tried to throw as much nonsense at the wall as they could, and then see what stuck, see what wasn't gonna go over on them. Because I mean, just like I was telling you the other day about the mythic skins, right? You
Mm-hmm.
have people who had to spend $20 on a battle pass to get the mythic skins at the end of the battle pass. You couldn't get it for free. And this was at a time where you couldn't earn battle pass. You couldn't even earn premium credits for free, neither. Either even by playing the game. So there was no way for you to get these crazy mythic skins. The Genji one, the Tracer one, I think Moira had one. I think Mercy was like the last one, and then they started making them like, okay, and the next one you can earn thing, and you can buy the old ones that you missed. Junker Queen had one. I'm not gonna name them all, but
Mm-hmm.
a good amount of them had some of them.
Yeah, like all
And
the
these
all the
people
new
who,
characters with the exception of like Genji and Hanzo.
yeah, and some of the old ones too. But it's like you had to buy this pass so that you could get this exclusive skin, and you had to earn it. You had to buy the pass so that you could earn, so you could earn the exclusive skin, right? So
Yeah.
people put in money and people put in time. Like I think about you and other people doing these challenges every day, every week, event challenge, whatever. So they put in that time to get these skins. And now you're saying, oh yeah, if you come along to the game later, you can just, you can buy the pass, you can earn the credits in the pass, and then you could buy the old skins that you might have missed or whatever.
That's the
And
thing. It's like, here's how I see it. When I was growing up, when a game came out, like that was it. Unless unless it was like a game breaking, console breaking bug, right? You weren't getting a patch until Midnight Club 3, right? The
I
next
was gonna say that
sequel was gonna
that
fix it.
wasn't even until later. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like,
the next
yeah,
game was gonna fix it, address it, and it was gonna be a problem of the past. So there was this level of like finality and like, okay, the developers know what they're doing. This game's gonna be good. But now you get it where it's like, hey, in season 3, we're gonna do these mythic skins. We're gonna hardball you with these. You're gonna have to pay for the battle pass. You're gonna have to work for this battle pass. This is gonna be our stance. And then they see that there's so much pushback with that they're like, okay, season 5, we're gonna do things differently. We're gonna go back to the board. Like it's a lot more transparent and open of a discussion now between the gamer and the developer, where it's like, hey, you tried to roll this thing out to us and it didn't work. Now you have to go back to the drawing board and see what sticks. That never really happened back like in the PS2 PS3 era. But since it's happening now, it's like, just because they say, oh, we're going to give you a story mode, I don't believe that's going to happen until I'm legitimately pressing start on that story mode. Yeah, so that sucks for the players that had to, spend the money for the battle pass and then, work for it, only for it to be like not free but more easily accessible down the road for players who like I don't know, can just buy their way through it. Like, again, we're gatekeeping skins now. I think personally that's weird, because my take on it is that no one's gonna really notice that in the heat of battle. And just because you have like the super duper uber chocolatey fudge covered skin doesn't mean it's a good substitute for whatever your current skill level's at. So even these developers, which low key are like what, game behavioralists, psychoanalysts, they understand that like these people care that much about it. And the way I see it, it's like wearing a uniform in school. Monday through Thursday, you wear a uniform. If you didn't have your own outfit on Friday, you were clowned on. It's kind of like that. So they've taken that element of like social hierarchies in middle school and just put it into video game form. And that's kind of what's generating them that revenue, or hoping that someone will eventually throw a dollar here, throw a dollar there, and then before you know it, they're like in the triple digits for numbers, etc., etc.
well, yeah, because they get into the psychology, like you said. You know what I mean? Like, obviously people play video games as a form of expression, right? You have the people who want to play the game the right way, you got people who want to play the game their way, you got people who want to play the game the wrong way, you got people who want to be wholesome, you got people who want to be toxic, you got people like it's video game is a place where like, people go and like express themselves in ways that they probably couldn't do it in reality or whatever the case may be, right? So they know that like people are gonna want certain different kind of outfits because some of them will like this one, some of them will not like that one, some of them want to be different, some of them want to have the newest thing, some of them, so they're preying on that fact. But it's like you said, like we're gatekeeping it, and you're gatekeeping it with like money. You're not gatekeeping it with like skill, like because I don't remember people having problems with like prestige levels in Call of Duty. I don't remember people having prob problems with saying, "Oh yeah, you locked the character behind, your ability to beat the game however many times, or your ability to put this much effort into the game, or to find this exclusive thing, or find that, or
Hmm.
whatever the case may be." But when you're doing it behind like dollar signs, like yo, you gotta buy the game, or scratch that. We'll do it like Fortnite. We'll make the game free, but then you gotta buy everything else in the game,
Well,
and you're
yeah,
gonna
it's
buy
like
it.
now that it's free, it's like you got to justify what can you sell or create that's going to make someone say, yeah, I want to buy that. And unfortunately, a lot of developers are falling into this trap where it's like, season this, season that, season here, season there, and now you're setting up this expectation that you're going to be having content in perpetuity. Like there's just going to be some seasons or days where like you just aren't creative. Like I think so they're doing like Ultra Watch right now, and it's like this really isn't anything different than like I can't put my finger on the pulse for it, but it's like I've seen this somewhere before in Overwatch, and I can't remember if it was like their Power Rangers esque kind
Yeah,
of
they
thing. It
gave
wasn't
they
a
gave
crossover, but
yeah, they gave Genji the Power Ranger skin
yeah,
for
it had
Rumble.
that similar feel to it, and I'm like, are we really running out of ideas, or like, are these just easier
Yeah,
assets to manipulate because it's less work for you to do? But it's like if you had just made a completed project from the ground up and stop trying to do this as we go along approach, you might be better off. Because I don't know, personally, if Overwatch was $60, Overwatch 2 was $60, I would have bought it full price, and then whatever the rest of the game has for that $60, I'm cool with it. But saying it's free and then trying to figure out what to fill it up with to like keep the lights on, I don't know, that's just such a risky approach, especially when like people are just not like gelling with the new format of like how games are today. Overwatch is obviously lucky because it got on the ground floor very early. And I would even argue that Black Ops 3 had this unique character, special abilities, roster, hero shooter kind of thing. But obviously the Call of Duty aspect of it is what front loads it, and the hero shooter aspect is in the background. But keen-eye players will know what I'm talking about. So yeah, I don't know. It's just a really risky business practice where it's like, hey, it's gonna be free, $0, but we're gonna need you to like subscribe to our Patreon or something to keep this
well, I don't
game
even.
going if you like our game so much. And it's like, I'm not spending $60 for a skin. Like that's
I don't. I do. They tried for. I think it's like 40, but I don't even think it's risky. I think it's just that they. I think they design it this way. You know what I mean? Because they're like, listen, we can get the people to pay $60 for the game, or $70 as it is now for the game,
mhm,
and then they're not gonna want to shell out more. Because like you said before, your brother paid like the $40 version.
mhm.
I don't think I did, but I know some other people that paid the 40. You know what the $40 version got you? I think it got you into the beta before the official game launched, right? You got into all the betas, and you unlocked the three new heroes from the go, and you got their exclusive skins or something like that, right? Because it was like a pack for like exclusive skins for Sojourn, Kiriko, and Junker Queen.
Yeah, it doesn't really feel
That
all
was
that
all.
substantial.
That was yeah. That was all it got you because the game was going free to play, and it got you the exclusive skins, and it got you into all of the betas. That's what the $40 got you. And I was thinking like, man, them people who paid that, they'll be like, oh, and a lot of them at the time was trying to be like, oh, well, the game's going free to play, so we wanna. support the we want to support the devs, we want to support the Overwatch company. I don't mind supporting them, and I'm just like, man, y'all are kind of dumb, bro. This game was about to be free, and then as soon as it went free, a few people was already going like, oh, they're going like Fortnite. Yeah, the game is free, but you got to pay for skins, you got to pay for all of the characters that they're gonna throw in here and this and that or whatever. And that's why I'm saying I don't really think that it was risky. I think that it was calculated
Yeah,
because I
it's
think
it's
that
it's
they
a
came up.
calculated risk. They're like, if we make
Well,
this
they
thing
can't no, because
and
they
people
they they
don't
knew
and don't
because
rock with it, like, what are we gonna do?
yeah, but I mean, I can't really even say it's a risk because what other option do you have? You know what I mean? Now, it would have been a risk if they was like, yo, Overwatch 2 is going up, but Overwatch 1 is also staying up. They did everything that they could. You have to play Overwatch 2. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they
And they
walked you
know
into the
that.
room, they closed the door, and they said, "Hey, this is Overwatch 2. Enjoy it."
Yeah, so it's not really because I mean I remember you was super against it in the beginning. Like I tried to give it a shot, I tried to get serious, and then for a while there I was against it. But they knew what they had in the first game, and then it was just like we're gonna make it so that they have to play this game. If you have any kind of nostalgia for Overwatch, if you ever wanna like play Overwatch, if you have any kind of attachment to Overwatch, whatever, you have to play too. You have no choice. You put your one disc in that you paid what'd you say, like 100 some dollars for when it came out or something like that?
Yeah, I bought
If you
the
put your
art book stuff for it, the special
yeah,
edition,
the
whatever
whole
it's called.
the whole collector's joint. If you put your Overwatch one disc that you paid over 100 beans for and your PlayStation 5, it's gonna put you in the Overwatch 2. You have no choice but to engage with that game. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like them making it free to play was just their way to justify, like, hey, you can drop like $20 on the skin. You could drop like $20 on the battle pass. You could drop like, this little amount of money for this and that or whatever. And then when you were saying like the lack of creativity or them running out of ideas, I feel like they're like, we don't really have to get too creative because the money right now is in crossovers. Um, we can get things to come because before, like you said, they're doing the Ultra Watch thing, which is just a Power Rangers like crossover. At the same time, they're doing the Transformers crossover. Before that, they had the Porsche crossover, and then before that, they've had the Cowboy Bebop crossover. They've had the what's it called, One Punch Man crossover. They've had all these, you know what I mean, to get people to shut up more. You can't earn any of these skins. You gotta buy them.
Yeah,
So it's like they're making it so that all right, your favorite they had that crossover with that K-pop group. So it's like all these things that try to appeal to all of these multiple different casual audiences and all the diehards who want new skins and whatever the case may be, and none of it is really for the gamer, the player, the consumer. They brought back the Pink Mercy Overwatch thing, which I bought because my mother beat breast cancer, but it's all ploys to like play on people's thingamajiggy, FOMO, this, that, and whatever. So, and they know that people are gonna buy it. The ones that are there, because what it is, they'd rather appeal to like the whales
yeah.
and
Out of like the 100% of gamers, the 98% who know like what to look out for, not to be duped, not to have the wool pulled over their eyes, they don't focus on the 98% because they're too smart. It's the 2% that don't
yeah,
know any better and will buy
the
anything because they
whales,
say like, "Hey,
the
if you get this
kids.
skin, it'll enhance your game skills." Oh yeah, I'll get that. They focus on that particular group of gamers. And it's, I mean, for what it's wrong, but it's like it's predatory, it's manipulative, it's bad business practice. It's a risk because it's like you're putting your stock in a group that can't be bothered to educate themselves. They're gonna go wherever the wind sways. And the minute you lose them, who are you gonna have to stand on? You're gonna discard your core base for a bad hand. That's like having the winning hand in Yu-Gi-Oh! And then you just play card destruction because it's like, hey, you can activate this, do it. It's like, why would you do that? Like you had a good hand. Like that was prime. But
Well,
we're just the consumers, so we're on the other end of it.
yeah, so I mean, I don't know. Me personally, I mean, it's kind of hard for if I would say, like, I feel like the heart of Overwatch is dead. Obviously, the game itself is not dead, but I feel like it's kind of like in that, it's kind of like Overwatch 2 is kind of like Men in Black 2, where it was kind of just like I told you about why I declared Men in Black 2. It's like, yo, the thing made so much money in the first one, we got to do a sequel. Only this sequel was apparently a planned sequel, and it just got hijacked. Because remember, I told you I was like, when the Overwatch League was demanding that they get two to play, I was like, it's all gonna go downhill from here. Because I was like, if the league can put that kind of demand on them that they get two, then the players are gonna get mad when they gotta tune into the Overwatch League playing two, and then they're like, "Yo, we're still playing Overwatch One. How come we don't get
Yeah.
Overwatch Two?"
Oh,
And
not
then
to
that puts the
mention,
pressure.
like
That
a lot of these games forget, like they don't exist in a vacuum. Like I'm literally stretched between Overwatch, Crime Boss,
Master Duel,
Master Duel, Persona 5. Like some are single player, some are
the
obviously
original
multiplayer.
one.
But it's like these games have like timetables and deadlines on them because it forces you to play. It's no longer like you playing because you want to play. You're playing it because it's out of habit. It's habitual. If you miss a weekly or a daily or whatever, you definitely feel that punch in your gut where you're like, oh, I just wasted all this progress. You shouldn't have to feel that way when hopping onto a game, especially one that you paid for, you know?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think that's another thing that they forget, that they're not the only game in the world. Like there's other commitments that, you know, people have to play. Oh, and now that I got my emulation all set, yo, I'm like really backlogged. So it's like I'd appreciate it if, you know, you at least not end your event or give us only like 3 days to a week to figure out if we're gonna play it or not. Like, yeah,
Well,
these,
no, because you know what's funny is they do that. They do that also by design because
yeah,
they know it gets people that like, oh man, I got to complete this. Like the battle pass thing is a thing for all the people that are completionists to like, oh man, I got to finish this. And it's like your dailies, yo, you got 12 hours to finish this. Your weekly, yo, you got 3 days to finish this. Your events, yo, you got like 30 more days to finish this up. And you got all this stuff to like they want that because again, Overwatch 2 being a free to play game, Master Duel being a free to play game, like these games, I think they just like to get the engagement level stats and then brag on those. It's not
yeah, but
really about
it's like you're getting those stats from reluctant players. It's one thing if like you
and they
legitimately
like
want to
that.
play that game. Like I got almost 1,800 hours in Overwatch, but that was because I wanted to give that many hours to Overwatch because it was a fun
Yeah.
game. Now I literally drive home and I'm thinking like, okay, what am I gonna do tonight? I'm gonna do Overwatch or I'm gonna do something else, you know? Because like, what's it really going to at the end of the day? Because I now have like this projection of the
Nothing.
company in my head where it's like, okay, every misgiving that I have to an extent, I'm going to like indirectly place on some faceless person at the company or the company as a whole. And it shouldn't have to be like that. If I don't want to
No.
play it, I don't want to play it just because like there's another game that's interesting to me at the moment and I'm going to go play that. Not because I want to like try to stick it to their numbers and you know, beat them down because like but why? Like when did gaming get like that? Like, you know what I mean?
Since it became more focused on a business instead of being a hobby. Because that's what I'm saying. Like, you know, what's funny? And the closest thing I probably can compare it to is maybe like wrestling. I remember when WWE or WWF used to be in competition with WCW, and they had to put on like great shows because viewer ratings was everything that mattered. That was what made your money. They didn't want this other company to try to beat them in the ratings war. So they was both pushing their best to be the best product, put the best product on TV and whatever the case may be. And I learned this when I was younger. When WWE put WCW and all the other ones out of business and they really didn't have any competition, they just started putting whatever they wanted to on TV because it's like, what are you gonna do? You know what I mean? You want to
Yeah.
watch wrestling, you gotta watch wrestling here. You could watch some small production, but you're just gonna be like, you're really lying to yourself because they can't really hold a candle to WWE, even though WWE kind of sucks. They know that they got it, and then after a while, when they became like a publicly traded company or whatever, they didn't really care about viewership ratings and stuff like that anymore.
Well, yeah,
They
because once you
just
get to that level where it's like, okay, we're I don't want to say too big to fail because anything can ultimately fail. Like if the world went on fire like right now, but it's like once you get to that level of like cruise control, you're like, all right, cool, turn the autopilot on, throw some products out there, and then see who bites. We'll be good, you know. It's like
yeah, and
Zenless Zone Zero, like. it's just like a kind of, I don't want to say nothing burger, but like you just bite it and you feel like you swallowed air. But it's like it's MiHoYo. They're not going anywhere. They've cemented themselves in whatever, spike in the ground they planted. So it's gonna be like that
Yeah,
until they do something ridiculously goofy, or they take a calculated risk, or one of their workers or whomever at the top says something stupid, and people feel certain ways about it. But it's like that's where they're at now. If you get to that cruise
and
control
you
level, good luck getting rid of
yeah.
them.
And you start finding other ways to, like, they're more into things of like advertising is important for them, and people buying shares in the company is important to, like, so they're getting money from things that aren't about viewership. And it's the same thing with these games. Like, it's not really about who's buying the game, who, like, people download the game because it's free. That's why they advertise it all over the place, like, yeah, just download it. And then that's why you'll get the, hey, we're celebrating our 100 million download whatever. And it's like 100 million people are not playing this game. We know that much. Like,
Yeah,
otherwise it wouldn't take 5 to 10 minutes for you to get a game on DPS or whatever the case may be, if 100 million people are playing the game. So 100 million are not doing that. 50 million are not doing that. So it's like, yeah, people press download, played it for a bit, and then never touched it again. But they're fluffing the numbers where it's just like, oh, look, see, 100 million people downloaded it. Yeah, but only like 30,000 people are playing it right now. But they don't care about that because they're fluffing the number. Oh, 100 million downloads, or, hey, we hit 50,000 players because, we just dropped the new season or whatever, and everybody comes back when the season starts. But then, by the next week, half or three-quarters of those people that just came back are gone,
yeah,
and they're not playing that, and it's just the usual like 10, 20,000 people playing the game again. So they just fluff the numbers. They're into the numbers now. And, like I said, it's the engagement. Oh, we want these people to, have FOMO so that they keep playing. Oh, we want these people to, now you can re-queue right from the menu thing. So it's like anything that gets you like to not leave their game and to keep playing their game, or make you feel like you have to come back to their game or stay on their game. That's what they're shoving in the game, because it's not really about your betterment or your entertainment. It's about their numbers. Their numbers are what's taking priority now, instead of your enjoyment and your entertainment.
so it's not about enjoyment, it's about engagement. Okay.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly, like, majority of these games now. And that's exactly why, I think about this all the time, because I'm like, yo, the reason why I can't really stay on this game, like, there's times where I feel like, man, I feel like playing Overwatch, and then I go look at the challenge screen, and it's like, all of a sudden I don't feel like playing Overwatch anymore, because it's just looking at you like, yeah, look at all this crap that you
Stop
haven't
trying to
done.
make me queue for all roles and then always put me in support. That's not fair.
And it's like, bro, like, again, like, I've said it maybe 3 times, I say it all the time, but it's like, games are supposed to be fun, not another job. Why are you trying to make this out to be like another job? And I know you're saying, hey, well, look, it's fun, hey, get your win, say hello to the push robot, whatever, whatever. But it's like, these are things like, they're incentives, and you're making me do them. If I don't do them, or if I don't get them all done in the time that you want me to get them done, then I gotta feel like, oh, I'm missing out on something. Like you said, oh man, that's progress missed, or oh man, that's XP I could have had, or oh man, like, that's corny. This is
Yeah.
supposed to be for fun, not for, like, whatever. Like, the trophy list or whatever, if people get into some of those are fun. But, a lot of them they give you, oh, complete chapter 1 of the game. All right, I was going to get that anyway. Oh, finish this mission. Well, I had to do that anyway. The crazy things, like, for the people who really want a challenge, like drive around in the desert for like 5,000 miles or whatever the heck it was on GTA 5, or finish this or finish that or whatever, like, if you really want to put yourself to the test and say, yeah, I did all of this stuff, I'm a real GTA gamer, or whatever the case may be,
Kiflam.
cool. You know what I mean? Like that, like cool. But, it's not like, oh, within 20 days of your start play time, get this trophy or you'll be locked out of it forever.
Yeah, no, if trophies started getting like that, I mean, they technically are in a sense with like the online games, but like Like, obviously, the crew being shut down forever now, like, that sucks, right? But, like, at the time it came out, that was never, like, a thought in the back of someone's mind. Because, again, we think that, like, oh, these game companies aren't going to close their doors, right? Like, they made a product. People are liking it. People are playing it. They've got good numbers. Like, Ivory Tower's not going to go anywhere no time soon. And then you're like, oh, the game is shutting down. Now I got to, like, bolt it to like try to hurry up and get these trophies. I didn't lift a finger when I did hear all this news. Like, I wasn't turning the crew on. I wasn't about to lose sleep over this, because like I again, I'm the 98% of gamers, not the 2%. So it's like, doors are closing for it. Hey, listen, that sucks, but you know what? It was a fun ride. Goodbye, Paul Walker. And then it goes off on the ramp and whatever. Q, I'll see you again. So it's like, it's not like you said, it's like a job. It's supposed to be a hobby. It's supposed to be fun, not like you'll engage with it by playing it the way you want to play it, and then not have to feel like, dang, I missed something along the way, or like, man, I really wish I was here at this level. And then the game goes, well, you should have played it the way we told you to play it, and then everything would have been fine. And it's like, it shouldn't have to be like that. It's reluctant engagement for a lack of enjoyment.
Yeah, because you know, it's funny thinking about it too. Remember what you just said yesterday? Remember we used to hop on there? Oh, they're doing an event. Yo, let's go on there. Let's get these. Let's get our what is it? 27 wins in arcade or quick play or
Yep.
whatever for the thing. That used to be fun to me. You know what I mean? It used to be fun to like play with you, pause on the game and whatever.
That
And it
was like
used
the
to be
most normal
fun.
thing.
And it used to be fun to like engage in these events because you had the summer one, you had the Halloween one, you had the winter one, Chinese New Year, uh the anniversary and all of that. Like those was fun to come back to and engage with those. But these ones where it's like they're always going all the time and you have to get it done, and if you put money into the battle pass, then you definitely got to get it done. Otherwise, you just wasted your money. And this, like, if you missed the event, the summer games event on Overwatch or whatever, no harm, no foul. You just missed out on maybe a couple of skins that you just gotta wait until next year and get into them. Or when the anniversary rolls around and all the skins open up, then you want to jump in on that one. Like it was cool, but now it's just like, yeah, no, you have to. Otherwise, they're never coming back, or they may never come back because we definitely want you to have that sense of FOMO. And what, like, yeah, no, it's just lame, and that's why I said like the heart of it, even down to some of the gameplay designs, like people having beef over the tanks being too strong, and then they take away the tank strength, but there's only one. Like having one tank on a team 5v5, the whole 5v5 versus 6v6 debate is funny to me. It's funny to me, and I haven't really even like gotten into it too much because I told you from the jump, and I think you like agreed that 5v5 was gonna be a mistake in the first place because they was listening to the people, the streamers, and some of the league players who just wanted to they wanted to be the ones to be able to go into a team-based game and affect it by themselves and completely wreck a team and destroy a team or be the destruction of a team by themselves, and that's exactly what they got
Well,
now
if you want
because
to do that, I recommend Call of Duty.
oh no, you can play Overwatch now because you know what, if you can definitely outman their tank, you probably got it. If your tank
Right,
sucks,
but again, not every
God
game
bless
is
you
going
in
to
that
be
game.
like that because it's supposed to be a team-based shooter. If you're
Right.
playing Call of Duty, but you're playing it in an Overwatch mindset, you may fare better, but you're really supposed to run and gun on your own. If you
Yeah.
try to play Overwatch like Call of Duty, 8 times out of 10, you're going to get stomped because when 4 or 5 people jump on you and they're coordinated and they're talking and they are intently looking out for you, you're going to have a harder time. You're not supposed to play Overwatch like Call of Duty. I know it
Nope.
says it's backed up by Activision, but like this wasn't their horse before they bought it. So
Mhm.
it would have made more sense to me when the 5v5 was announced that like we're gonna keep 2 tanks, 2 healers or 2 support, 1 DPS, but the strength of that 1 DPS is 2 DPSs divided by like half of that. So it's like 125% of
Yeah, well,
strength wise.
There was no way they was ever doing that because
That
they have more DPS characters in the game than any
right.
other role.
Well, it's funny because there was a time when like Overwatch back in the day, there was tank, support, attack class, and defense class. There was 4 different classes in Overwatch. But then it got into the conversation of, well, like what if I want to play a defensive character offensively, and vice versa. So they just took the
Yeah.
attack class and the defense class and they just made it into the DPS role. But it's like, not to say that they can't go back to that way of like gameplay or format. Um, but it's like you putting all of the front end on the tank puts a lot of pressure on tanks who may or may not be good, because again, a lot of it does come down to skill. A lot of it does come down to reading the room and gelling with your team and being cooperative and taking the elements of like that team aspect in this game and trying to do your best with that's given to you. But trying to take a tank and play it like it's in a different game is just not going to work. Same thing with DPS, same thing with support. You're going to have certain battles where it's a 1v1 and the person gets nervous or they get cold feet, whatever. You're going to get a win at some point eventually, but that's not always going to be the case.
Yeah,
It's
or
not.
it constricts people because you remember, like you as a person who played a lot of tank, and me who played some tank, like there's main tanks and there's off tanks, and now it was like I know you wasn't thinking in the beginning because of protests, but from the very begin from from the very beginning, so it used to just be you pick Zarya, you bubble yourself, you ignore the other tank, walk right into their back line, kill the supports, your team wins the fight. That was from the very beginning. If people wasn't goofing off on like Junker Queen because she was new, or playing anybody else from the beginning, that was what most people was doing. They picked Zarya, bubbled themselves, walked right past the other tank and whoever else was messing with them, hit the support, and that was it. From there, the rest of the team is killing the other team that's trying to take out the Zarya that's beaming the back line,
Mm-hmm.
and it all rolled downhill from there. So then you had nothing but like Zarya battles and this and that and whatever. Then they started, they think they nerfed her and they buffed some other ones, and whatever the case may be. But that's what it was. If you can ignore the other tank, or if the other tank is not straight up fighting the other tank, or like if you have a bad tank or you have a tank that wants to play off tank or whatever the case may be, your tank matchups had to be on point, because if they weren't on point, then your team was having a very bad day. Supports was catching all the flack for everything. DPS could not really go off on their own. You lost your peel tank, so your supports was just getting murdered if they, if nobody ended up looking out for them or whatever the case. It was just bad from the very beginning. It was never gonna
Yeah,
work unless you
it
just
was definitely
reworked
gonna have some
everything.
growing pains, and it's hard to switch that format when so many people got used to, like, I think it was like 5 or 6 years of 2 tanks, 2 healers, 2 DPS. Because at least like if we were to play in a duo, at least we get to pick, at least we get to be the same role, right? Now if we play, you
Yeah,
got to be support or DPS, and I got to be the tank, or flip it. It's like at least in the older format, we could both be that same thing and communicate how we were going to be in this role and then adjust for the betterment of the team. Now it's a little harder to do that because, again, skill, egos, people who work regular lives come home and don't want to be bothered with like the conversation of this particular game, and they just want to come home and just turn it off, right? All
yeah,
of that. But again, it's that growing pain, that quality of assurance that I don't know if the developers like tested out to like its realist aspect. I'm sure they had a few days where they're like, okay, we're gonna run a few practice games with 5v5 and see how, like, these group of players like it, control the variables. But it's like, is that gonna be like the player base? Because there's like a way to play a game, and then there's like a way to play the game. You know what I mean? There's always like the backdoor way that people find a way to make a game more fun, or like mods, for example. Like I'm sure Fallout whatever number is like a fine game as it is, but it's enhanced more because of how the gamers really play it. kind of thing. And
Hmm.
I don't think the
Yep.
developers always have the time to like test that side of the game out, and they never know where it's gonna go, you know? I remember when like Helldivers was getting flack for like people who were like trying to talk about like the meta or whatever, even though it's a single player game. Like it's not a competitive game. Why are we discussing metas? Not to say that you can't discuss metas, but the fact that that's where people always try to gravitate towards. They want the strongest item. They want the thing that like yields the highest win ratio. They want the thing where if they get caught in a 1v1, it's not going to be them, it's going to be the other person. And it's like, chill. Just play for fun. You know, you gotta die at some point, you know, and that level of like quote unquote gaming has permeated what made games fun. Everything's got to be competitive. Everything's got to be ego driven. Everything's got to be smack talk. Like it's literally ingrained in Overwatch's like chat feature where if you say something that's even slightly egotistical, sorry, my mommy says I have to be in bed by 9 p.m. and I'm working on my anger issues. Like what? Like how did we get here? So that's where I'm at
Yeah.
with it.
It's because they listen to the loudest voices instead of the many voices. Because you know what's funny? That's what I'm saying. Like they're looking at the competitive players and the league players and the big streamers and whatever, and they listen to them instead of listening to. Because I mean, if you're gonna tailor make the Overwatch experience, I believe that more people probably solo queue than people who group queue. So it's like, why would you not tailor make the game to solo queue players? Like you have to be, and I mean, maybe part of it is just lack of care or whatever the case may be, but
Well, it could be
you have to.
that, or they're just kind of like, well, let's throw it to the community and see what they say, and if it doesn't fail, we can use them as a scapegoat. Like again, there's nothing wrong with taking feedback from like quote unquote streamers, but like they engage with the game differently than like the average player does. Like they have
Right.
to be on that game for at least more than 2 hours, and you're gonna get to a point where there's diminishing returns. I don't remember who we were watching, but there was that one girl that was playing Kiriko, and she's missing all her shots, and I'm like, this is who the like devs listen to, like not to say that she doesn't know
Yeah.
anything about the game, but it's like what does she know about the game other than I need to hit my target? You know what I mean? Like we
Yeah, I
we
know.
need we need that constructive criticism and feedback of like how the game plays, how the game runs, what's the game's roadmap look like, and how are we going to keep this game as like a franchise in perpetuity. I don't think it does that. It's listening to so many disjointed arguments and points of an ongoing conversation that it's like good luck untangling this thing because the knot is like in the dead center and there's no way to get to it.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I don't know who. Well, I mean, I know who, but I just don't know why they thought 5v5 was gonna be a grand idea. Especially unless you're just like gonna. If you're gonna do it, then yeah, you probably should have did like how you said. You don't take out another tank, you take out a DPS. But then no, because they got to. Nah, most of their players are probably DPS players. Um, so they didn't wanna mess with that. And then games would probably take even longer to get into, and they wanted to make it even quicker to get into games. So
I don't know. Wouldn't it make more sense though? Like I'm trying to figure out like what's a good comparison, but like the word strike force keeps coming to mind. But like if you're in a strike force, right? Wouldn't you want two tanks, two meds,
yeah,
and
yeah,
a
you
quick
would.
killer that can get the job done?
Yep,
You know what I mean? Like I feel like that would be like
absolutely.
a better format as opposed to like the one tank because like remember now mobility kits also play a big role into like Overwatch as well. So like when everyone's just gapping the tank or they have to move based off of the tank speed, it's like you're putting your hands into someone who might really know what they're doing or who might not really know what they're doing, you know? So,
But you know what's funny? Like you're not gonna like it, but I gotta go to sports because it's what I know.
mhm.
Um, DPS essentially is the scorer, and everybody likes to score. In baseball, everybody wants to be the person to hit home runs. In football, everybody wants to be the person to score touchdowns. In basketball, everybody wants to be the person to shoot the ball in the hoop, slam dunk it, whatever. Soccer, everybody wants to be the one scoring goals. Same thing with hockey. Like, you have defenders, you have other positions too, and people who do the dirty work and stuff like that. Like your tanks is like your offensive line, defensive line. They get in there, they make space, they protect the team, they do the dirty work. You know, they're the ones who are never usually thanked unless they're going crazy, and they're the ones who are usually the first ones getting blamed, or maybe the second ones getting blamed if things are going wrong. Support, that's usually like your defense. They're making sure everything is all right. They're trying to stop the other team from scoring by keeping their team alive. And then your DPS is the ones that scoring because they're the ones that get the kills. They get to do the kills. They get to do the damage. So I mean, they're never, ever, ever, ever gonna take away the scoring position because everybody wants to play that position.
Yeah, but
So
since only one person can per game, it's like,
so they would be hurting, like, again, to us the gamer with rationale and common sense and stuff like that. Yes, that makes the most sense, but to them as a business, they're going to be like, you know how many people we're going to lose because only one DPS can get in per game, and the line for DPS is going to be down the block and around the corner, so that queue time is now going to be like 12, 15 minutes on a regular because
well, hey, there's your
most people are
engagement.
going to
Now you got
well,
people
most
spending
people,
time on your
no,
game.
because people, no, because then people are gonna be like, man, I'm not playing this crap. It take me 12. I told you when they was doing this free weekend for because Juno is available to try or whatever.
Hmm.
I tried to get into a couple, and I haven't really touched this since because I'm just like, I think the only way I can probably get games is to just jump in the comp, but I need to warm up in quick play, but I can't warm up in quick play because if I do for support, I'm gonna be waiting 10 minutes to get a game. I mean, I could go do arcade, but so for that on DPS with only one, phew, yeah, they would never do that because it would hurt them as a business. Though it makes sense, even if the next game or whatever iteration they do would go down to 4v4 or something stupid like that, they would drop a support before they drop another damage slot. Guarantee you.
It's crazy. I feel like they're enabling the wrong player base. At least, like, be like, hey, we're only gonna have one DPS position because there's gonna be times in life where like there is only going to be one position, and sometimes you might be able to fill it and sometimes you might not be able to fill it. Like, literally turn it into like a Mr. Rogers moment if you have to, but like it's like, I don't know, man. Like, I get the gripes with it. I've adjusted to the 5v5, but like obviously there is better formats out there, and if that's what Overwatch or Blizzard wants to do to ride it all the way to the bank, good luck to them. I think it's a risk. And the day the game starts like officially quote unquote dying is when they start sending out all those winding down messages, and then they stop drip feeding the content, and some other game takes the thunder from them, and that's when okay, it's time to close the shop. But as of right now, it's getting away with a lot right now, and it could be
And
doing
that's only
better.
be and that's because all them other games keep shooting themselves in the foot. Apex
Yeah.
Apex has a huge cheater problem, and they didn't capitalize off the momentum they had. Valorant is Valorant, but it was only on PC for the longest time. Now it's gonna try to come to console. I don't really think it's gonna do what they think it's gonna do. Rainbow Six Siege was trying to be realistic, but then they got super unrealistic because they couldn't help themselves from Fortnite and themselves, and throwing Batman in the game and he don't kill people, throwing Kiryu in the game and he don't kill people,
Oh
and whoever
yeah.
else they done tried to pull into the game, and instead of developing their own people, I cannot tell you who who the original character on Fortnite is because every single time I watch somebody playing Fortnite, it's Spider-Man, it's Goku, it's Vegeta, Bulma, or some other character from some other friend, Darth Vader, running around and playing Fortnite and whatever. So that's what I'm saying. They just don't really have any original identity, um, other than being the first one to kind of really bring the whole battle royale thing to life. But I don't know, and that's what I'm saying. Like all these other games, just I mean, Overwatch at least tries to mainly stay true to who they were,
Yeah, but
especially
it's
in one.
like but it's like when I see a character like Juno, I'm sitting there thinking, okay, how does this like
Yeah, she really,
how does this
she
speak to
really
the
don't.
story? Like, where do you
She
where do
really
you fit
don't.
in this?
She don't feel like an Overwatch character at all.
Yeah, when I see all, when every new character is dropped, my mind always goes to like how do you fit in the overall story of like where were you when Overwatch had to close its doors, you know, or when Blackwatch was running crazy, like, you know, things like that, because when the game was coming out, that was the expectation they set us up with. Now that seems to not be the case, they're just kind of, like you said, throwing things at the wall, seeing what sticks. But it's like, I don't know. I get giddy when I see interactions between like Winston and Wrecking Ball, because I'm like, oh, they are cut from the same cloth. Or when I see Zenyatta and Ramatra in the same room, because it's like, one's a revolutionary and the other one's a revolutionary too. But it's like the way they go about it is just so like just drastic that it's like, I want to see that. I want to see more of that because I trust your writing.
History.
Yeah,
yep,
but
they got that history. Like I told you, when I first started playing too, and my aim was still right, and I had Soldier, and I would kill a Sojourn, and he'd be like, "That's what you get for testifying against Overwatch." I used to get hype. I was like, "Yo."
Yeah, there was something.
Her a rat.
There was something there, but
yeah, I'm like, yo, but yeah, now I think I don't know. I think Life Weaver might have been the first one. I was like, yeah, I don't really see how Life Weaver, Lari, Malga, and now Juno. Yeah, I don't really see how they have links to because Ramantra does, Junker Queen does, Sojourn does, Kiriko does a little bit. I don't really see how these newer ones have ties to the.
Like they're definitely like blink and you miss it moments, but like Weaver's connected to like the hard light technology that Symmetra utilizes, but he has beef with I think her and I think Echo. Yeah, I think he's got beef with those two. Alari, I think, accidentally nuked her parents when she got her powers or something to that effect. Like there are just so many stories that are just drastic in tone where I'm like, but how does this fit in the overall story? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's what
I remember back in the day where it was just about like making sure that Talon didn't get Doomfist's gauntlet. Like that was the height of Overwatch. And then when the dude did get out, he was a problem. Oh man. Hey.
So that's what I'm saying. I feel like what I wanted to think by like did it die? I feel like I really should have listened to you because I feel like, man, when Overwatch 1 first came out in 2016, like it was probably mad hype.
Overwatch 1 was legit.
I'm sad that I came on like 3 years before they shut it down for real. And then that's why when 2 was coming, I was like, all right, I'm gonna try to get into this as much as possible, like I should have did with 1, but it just wasn't it. It just wasn't it. And there's been times where I just put that game down for like many a months. Like I couldn't do that with the first game.
Well,
but
you know, if I run something through you, you know, you gotta take it where you can. You should get Forspoken.
No. that's a negative. That's a negative. But yeah, no, man. So we got about 30 left. This other thing I wanted to run across you. Have you watched The Boys yet?
Yeah, I've seen The Boys since like day 1.
No, I'm saying like you watched the new season?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen, what are they on, season 4?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't seen season 4 yet. I'm doing a rewatch from the beginning to catch up again. But a couple. Oh, you remember when we did the last one, the last episode, the last podcast, and I was like, "Yo, I'm ready to rant right now." Mm-hmm. So I was on YouTube, and I was watching a couple of people who do reviews of shows and stuff like that and whatever. And they was saying that they was talking about season 4 of The Boys. I think there was maybe 2-3 episodes in at the time. It was like, yeah, season 4 of The Boys is going woke, and it was always kind of woke. But now they're going extra woke. So this whole last 30 minutes is going to be about woke. Because
we literally went from video games to woke. Wow, that is a pendulum swing.
I need you to clear some. Well, it was supposed to start the other way, and it probably would have made more sense. But since we was already talking about Overwatch because of conflict, I figured we might as well just stay with.
Oh, this thumbnail's gonna be jank.
We're here now. How is The Boys gone woke? And what does it even mean when somebody says it?
I'm gonna keep it real with you. I don't know what woke means. I don't know in what context when the word woke applies. I don't know when they say the word woke, who it's appealing to, who it's going against. All I know is that when I watched season 4 of The Boys, they satirized the general talking points about the hot button issues that make America angry at each other. And I think they do it
Yeah,
smartly. There are some episodes where
which
they
is
push it
kind
a little
of
too far, but for one person to say that it is this thing when they didn't write it, had no hand in it, wasn't in the writing room when it was being conceived, and all they did with it is just watch it with whatever biases and dispositions that they had going into that. I don't think that's going to be a fair assessment of season 4. Not to mention that any show that goes on that long is going to have to, I don't want to say flip the script or change its gimmick, because I think it is still the core of what it set out to be, which is the show that makes fun of like capitalism, sponsorships, endorsement deals, backdoor businesses, handshakings, etc. So by the time you get to season 4, you know, it has to do things. Not even just season 4. I'm jumping at the end, but like again, season 2, season 3, season 4. Each one does something different, but the core of the show is still there. The essence of The Boys is still there. At least when I was watching it, I didn't feel that there was an episode where I was like, all right, this isn't for me. This is weak. This is trash. This is mid. Whatever they say, right? It's just when you have something going on that long, audience members aren't dumb, right? It's you're gonna need to do a lot more to stimulate them twice, but the challenge is they can't be stimulated by the same thing twice. You have to keep finding ways to like tweak it for different desired effects. So I think that's what season 4 did. Again, it pushed it really, really far, but to say it's woke, I don't know, man. I couldn't tell you. I could not tell you.
So here's your spoiler warnings, because I'm gonna get into some details. If you guys listen and haven't watched it, I mean, I can't spoil the 4th season. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, and I won't spoil anything for the 4th season either. I'll just try to be as general about it as possible.
I mean, I can spoil some things, but it's just speculation. I'm gonna speculate on some things that I've heard. I don't know for sure because I haven't watched it yet, but this is what I heard, and this is from like early season 4, so it's the warning. Trying to recall everything. I know one of the big things that they was crying about was Frenchie's apparently gay now, or at least in a homosexual relationship. When he was supposed to be, I think his whole thing was him and what's the girl's name? Kimiko.
Yeah.
Yeah, up until this season 4. And one of the stupid things they were saying is, oh, they're doing a thing about making Homelander more evil. I'm like, more evil? he was evil in season 1, so I don't really know how, like, you know, that can be a complaint, but whatever. And then they was saying, what was they saying? Oh, they was trying to get like more inclusive with somebody. Oh, and given what's his name, giving A-Train the redemption. But I mean, A-Train's been on his redemption thing since like season 3.
Yeah,
at least
I
that
think
I've been paying attention to.
towards the middle half of season 2, but
Yeah, when something happened to his brother or whatever, and he started having problems, and he was kind of on the outs with the group. Because I
okay.
mean, Maeve had her thing in season 2, season 3. So
Seasons
why
1 through
can't
2 for the most part. Like again, the
yeah,
way
what?
that corporate doesn't really care about like the whole LGBTQIA whatever angle. They're just using it to line their pockets. Like, let's show that we care. Let's pay lip service to this because we know that if we do just that much, people are going to pay en masse. And that's how it goes in real life, unfortunately, you know?
And it was like, oh, well, you know, see, they got to make all of the white characters evil, but they can't make the black. I was like, A-Train is the reason why Huey, the main character, is even involved in The Boys in the first place.
Absolutely.
A-Train is a black character,
and one of the
ran
4th season villains is a black person. So like, and they're definitely evil. So like, again, when people try to look at it from just that perspective, they're blinding themselves to the other peripherals. Frenchie's bisexual. Homelander is a Superman who is unintelligent, right? Just because you're strong doesn't mean you know what you're doing all the time. Yeah. And it's like these things are building off of each other through each season prior. I think people just remember like all of like the bigger parts of it, like, you know, the whoa, they really did that moment. But then when it gets to those quieter moments and those quote unquote talky parts, I think people just kind of like autopilot that, and then when it gets back to the high of the show, that's what they like tend to tune back into. But like no, like these characters have always been
Yeah,
like that.
and I thought that what's his name? I thought Frenchie was always like bisexual or have
Yeah, you're
bisexual
not gonna be
tendencies.
entwined in that kind of life and like not be straight. Like like you're gonna have a
Yeah.
few screws loose, you know.
So when
So
I was hearing when I was hearing some of these, and not to mention, you know, Giancarlo Esposito's character was the big bad of Vought, and like the thing, and Victoria Newman's a big bad at Vought, and she's like, is she supposed to be like Middle Eastern or something like that, or not? Maybe not Middle East, but she's, you know, clear parody of AOC. So
mhm.
you know what I mean? Like I just didn't really like I was sitting there because you these are some of the people who like I watched them call out things like Star Wars, and I watched them call out things in the movies, and they'd be on point with their criticisms and their takes and whatever. But then they had them be like, yeah, you know, I feel like season 4 the boys again. I was just like, huh? You know what I mean? Like, and then it's like, you know, I go into my thing where it's like, I always start checking the people around me, you know, and I'm like, yo, am I tripping? Because I feel like they're wrong. But, you know, before I start, you know, yapping off at the mouth, like, I want to make sure, like, I'm not missing something, or I'm not tripping, or there's something that I'm not seeing. Because I'm like, these are things that was always there. You know what I mean? In my
Yeah,
opinion, like,
it is
I don't know what
always
it's from.
held a mirror at like the American audience, and to me says this is what you look like. This is what you look like when you talk about like vaccines and politics and right wings versus left wings. That's why personally I don't care about the conversation. I can't accurately tell you what a right wing or what a left wing is. Like if you told me on the spot, I wouldn't know because it's like the goalpost for it's always shifting. And even if you do get it right, there's always going to be that one person that's going to try to do mental gymnastics, hoop and hurdle to say you're wrong. And it's like, that's not a civil discourse. So I'm just going to remove myself from it because that's all I can do. You know, when Eric Kripke writes this show, produces this show, shoots the show, and then puts it out there, and the thing you take away from it is, well, it's too woke. It's like, bro, like, as a show writer, what are you supposed to do at that point? Especially when that wasn't even the message you were trying to go for. You can't help that if you take one fish and throw it in the middle of a room, who's gonna bite at it, right? If a
Mhm.
bear gets it, cool. I guess the bear likes fish. But then if you got like a plesiosaurus, a homeless person, and a cockroach coming at it, you're like, okay, that wasn't my intended audience, but I guess that it also attracted them, you know? Can't be helped. But I think when people just start
Yeah.
taking it and framing it in a way where they make it feel like, you know, someone came into your room, kicked your door down, killed your dog, and kidnapped your mom, it's like, first off, it's fictional. I know it has real world parallels, but it's fiction at the end of the day. It's a what if about what could happen if we keep acting stupid. Calm down, all right? Star Wars is not real. You'll be okay. Talk about your points, but do so in a calm and orderly fashion. I think that's the best way I could put it. And that's with
Well,
any show.
the difference between the Star Wars thing and the boys thing. Well, I mean, I guess the boys hit home with a lot of people, and like, which is funny because it's a show that's been done many times before. Especially like it's kind of popular now to do the what happens if the heroes go wrong. You know, there's two injustices about it, movies,
Yeah, the
stuff, comic
realism of
books.
a superhero world is a much more tapped into like genre. And again, The Boys, like season 1 came at a very good time. You know, we were all very much so, I mean, obviously we are familiar with like superhero etiquettes, but like the mainstream only knew it as like, oh, guy wears spandex, does the right thing, cool. But like what happens if like the Flash tries to save 50 people from a burning building? You don't think that person's going to vomit when the Flash stops running? You know, people just have like those questions. Or like I do that thing with you when like, you know, someone falls from like a ladder and they land right on their back and I'm like, so his spine is like dust, right? You know, you
Yeah,
start asking
yeah,
like those realistic questions, and the boys just took that and they turned it into a series.
yeah.
And they have a
They
lot
so well.
more important commentary to back that up. And I think that's cool
Yeah,
about the show.
and that's like they swap because I mean I think when because the show is based off a comic, but it kind of like I think the person who made the comic was kind of trying to do what like Watchmen did, where they're like, let's make superheroes a bit more realistic. Like this is what would happen if they was in the world of business. Like Watchmen's kind of like this is what happens like when the world doesn't really need superheroes anymore. What do they do? Um, and so it starts like that, and then it kind of like some of the people was like, oh yeah, when Homelander just lasers that guy in front of everybody, and half the crowd are mortified, and the other half the crowd support him because he was bothering his son or whatever. And it's like, yeah, no, that's them trying to parody Trump, saying that he can shoot somebody and he would still be as popular, still be president or what. And it's like, I mean, I heard him say that, but that's kind of a reach in my opinion because that's not where my mind went. I was just like, my mind was just like, oh shoot, Homelander just lasers somebody. Yeah, this is gonna be the thing that like sets half the world against them, and then you
Yeah.
get the try hard,
Yeah,
kind of like with Stormfront. You know what I
the
mean? When
in-world
Stormfront
reasons,
started,
yeah, the in-world reasons are very strong, but again, you're gonna have those people that try to push it past the screen and make like real-world comparisons, and I don't think it's always healthy because again, you're at that point you're kind of like overthinking, right? There's no definitive answer that would happen if someone did shoot this person and they walk away scot-free because we have a justice system for a reason, but then we also have crooked people, and then we also have lobbyists, right? And at that point, when do you begin and stop enjoying the show? At that point, are you just using it as a vehicle to channel your thoughts about what you feel about the world, and you're using a show like The Boys as like a cover, right? Like real like deep psychoanalytic stuff. And at that point, it's just like, I don't care. I'm just enjoying the show because I recognize that there is some truth in that, and I'm going to enjoy the show aspect of it, and then I keep it moving. But I love the Stormfront angle because, again, when there were racists in 1950s, 60s America, like height of racism, right? What would it be like if superheroes were in that? The superheroes in the world of The Boys are only acting based off of what their higher ups tell them to do. So whatever the big corporos are feeling like, that's what the superheroes are going to feel like. If the big
yeah,
corporos said we're not going to be racist, then guess what, Soups? You guys aren't going to be racist either. Y'all going to smile and wave for every race that comes your way, and you're going to suck it up and deal with it. Not to mention that in the world of The Boys, even though they're superheroes, in their world, they're just celebrities. They're only there for like press tours, sponsorships, endorsements, selling things, all of that stuff. They're not deputized. So the
right.
world already sees them differently. They're like celebrities, if anything. Now, if Homelander was somebody in like the military or he was a soldier, he'd probably have a different like vibe about him when people are like in his presence because like, oh, he's military and he's like militant and professional and by the book. It's like, no, they see him as a celebrity, so they want to take pictures with him. What military person do you see and go, oh, I want to take a picture with you? No, you usually say thanks for serving. It's it's a different vibe altogether, and that's what I like about it. But now with season 4 and them trying to like push them into those roles of power, it's like, oh my gosh, like what would happen if it did get like that? And that's cool. I'm not
Yeah,
ranting.
because it's only a matter of time because that's what they're raised around. You know what I mean? Like, what's his name? Homelander doesn't really have a dad, so you know what I mean. Superman without uh Martha and Jonathan Kent, would probably turn out drastically different. You know what I mean? Like he was just trying to be a down to earth, all American human because that's what his parental figures were. Homelander was raised in a lab. So I mean, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? He was raised in a lab by people who really didn't care about him.
he killed the
And
woman that
then
like birthed him into the world, whether it was by accident or not, right? I'm gonna assume it's by accident because you're just a baby, right? But you killed your biological mom, you killed Stillwell, who was like your corporate mom, and then you can't kill your corporal dad, which is Edgar, because like the dude's not scared of you. Homelander will only kill you if he knows you die being afraid of him, and Edgar's not afraid of
yeah.
him, so he's not gonna let him die knowing that he bested Homelander in that way. But that's like his
Well,
corporate father, and he has no out to him.
yeah, and Edgar is like the father that, you just want like pay attention to me or,
Yeah,
give me some type of reaction. Edgar's just like you're just bad product. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, you just failed whatever I wanted you to be here for. You never reached it. You
Yeah.
never will reach it, and it doesn't matter what you like. Edgar pays him no mind, and that bothers Homelander the most because it's like you have to acknowledge me, and he just won't.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah, he'll
that's his
keep him alive.
environment.
Yeah, he'll keep him. But that's when like this is what he grew up in, so he doesn't really know to like have empathy for people. And at the end of the day, the people around him that he grew up with was all maneuvering for power, for position, for this and that or whatever. So Homeland is gonna do that as well. He's gonna maneuver for power and position and acknowledgement and stuff like that. So you always will get a superhero who's like, yeah, I kind of want to, take over the world, or I want to break free of these chains of these people who tell me what to do and whatever. And he's doing that now. I don't really see him as trying to be no type of like presidential figure or what you call it, a parody of this person or that person in reality. Some of these people may be based off of some people
Yeah,
in
but they're
real
just
life, but
jumping
I
off
mean,
points. They're not direct one-to-one
yeah,
comparisons. I mean,
exactly.
isn't
And I
that the
don't.
reason why they always hit you with the any like coincidences made to like fictional or real people are like just that
Just purely
coincidences like
coincidence. Yep. Hmm.
yeah, and honestly with the
Yeah,
way
and that's
like
right.
Homelander is, he's no politician. Like he's been so murked in this environment that like he doesn't even know how to begin to maneuver in it without someone like trying to clean up his nonsense. So,
And with his own problems, his own insecurities, his own, what I mean, shortcomings and flaws and
yeah.
this and that or whatever. I think they do a good job. I mean, I haven't seen season 4 yet. We may revisit it when I do, but I think they've done a great job up to this point so far. Now, in terms of entertainment, have they kind of like I feel like season 1 set the bar real high. Season 2 kind of like dropped off a little bit from there. Season 3 had its moments. They finally did Hero Gasm, which was a big thing in the comics and the thing. And they brought in Soldier Boy and stuff like that, which is cool. But season 3 was kind of from there, whatever. But I mean, when you start off at 100, it's kind of hard to really keep that momentum for 4 or 5 seasons, and you're having these like 2 year breaks in
Truth
between the
be
seasons
told,
or whatever.
I think seasons 1 through 4 are still riding at 100, but again, they're throwing it in the middle of the room, and it's just not attracting the same people, and that's okay. Every opening episode is always something bombastic, and then you just see where it goes from there. I didn't feel like it's
Yeah,
dipped. I still think it's got the same energy, it's got the same attitude. It's like season 4 just having this whole arc about like I don't know, I'd say like maybe facing your demons or like confronting your insecurities like you said earlier. I think that is there a lot. And then how that's going to play into the final season, which is the fifth one, it's like
mhm.
man, like what if they just like don't kill this guy, right? Cuz there is evidence of his humanity there. He just has been led by the most worst people since he was born. But then, like, no, we're not gonna kill Homelander. We're gonna make him work like a Baskin Robbins with no powers, you know, like something that would like really just like. But
Well, that's pretty interesting because I mean, I don't know. I mean, if there is any redemption for a person like a Homelander, would he even want to be redeemed? Same thing with like, it really just comes down to like what they believe at that point. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Just kind of like it's like Injustice Superman. Like I think like he doesn't really feel like he's done wrong. I feel like he feels like he if he done what he did sooner, he could have stopped the things that made him into this. So he feels like he really believes in what he's selling. Like when Homelander talks to himself in the mirror, his mirror self is telling him, "Why are you so? Why do you even want the acknowledgement from these people? Why do
cause
you even care about
cause
these
he's
people?"
human.
I get that, but I'm saying like this is what he feels in himself because this is him talking to himself. So his inner thoughts is like, why do you even care about these people? And then his outer thoughts is just like he does care,
Cause he's human.
but like I don't know. I don't know if some people just can't. Some people just can't be redeemed. Some people don't want to be redeemed.
Yo, absolutely. Some people don't want to be redeemed, but if you leave them in a spot where they can't ever grow, or like go the other way, it's like you have no power to even change things about yourself. I think that's where the whole Baskin Robbins being depowered thing kind of came from, because it's like the people who hate their jobs. It's like you can't move up, you can't leave, because where you're gonna go, you're kind of stuck, right? And you feel that, you know, you can't. I mean, there's probably some people who can explain it to a very specific detail because they lived through it, but it's that feeling of like you're stuck in life, like you had everything, and this is where it got you. You should have did better, man.
Yeah.
And it's that
Well, I
feeling
mean,
of
I don't
like,
know.
dang. But I don't know. I am so excited to see where this last season goes, and I think they're gonna have
'Cause, I
something
mean,
in between
at
that.
any
So
at any point, yeah, I think they're probably gonna do another season of Gen V, which
hmm
I haven't seen. I seen somebody review it, but
watch it,
um,
watch it, watch it, watch it.
what Gen V? You liked it?
It's a part of the story. Yes, watch it.
Oh, I didn't know you watched it.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a part of the universe. So yeah, I would
You,
recommend watching it.
did you watch the animation, Diabolical, whatever it is?
Mm-hmm. And again, it has
Oh,
nothing to do
okay.
with the main story, but you understand that it's from that world of the boys. So you're like, oh yeah, here are the other stories that, you know, didn't get shot in live action or didn't make it to like the big screen. So it's just fun to see stuff like that. And, you know, it's cool that Amazon's giving them the funds and resources to get those ideas out there. But yeah, man, like, why not watch them, you know? It's like extra credit.
I mean, it just never really appealed to me. So I didn't really think I'm a jiggy. I'm still caught up that I can't believe that Victoria is Farah from Call of Duty,
Yes.
and that she dates Huey in real life.
Yes.
So
All normal interactions.
it adds another layer to their interaction on the screen where they gotta
Act like
pretend
they
like they
hate each
like
other.
yeah act but don't act like they do but they don't like each other. But uh, yeah,
Yeah.
no, I like the boys. I
Yeah.
mean, Star Wars is a thing of people being fans of that for decades and generations and whatever. And you get these people in here now, and they're just so dead set on tearing. Like if Star Wars was problematic before, and you're trying to rebuild that, then sure. But you get these people, these new age people with their new age ideas, and they just not not that they want to make something new out of it, because there's nothing really wrong with that. Because if there was something wrong with that, we wouldn't really like the new age Batmans or Supermans or the new age Jurassic Parks or whatever. But they come in and they just disrespect the past.
Right,
They spit all over it.
but
They
then
erase it.
but then
They want to override it.
their continuity at some point is going to be trumped by something that comes out down the road. Like that's just what happens when it comes to these type of like medias and franchises. You know how much like miscontinuity there is in like the Marvel comic books and the DC comic books, where once it gets into the hands of a particular writer, they don't care what the other writer established. They want to write their own story. Unfortunately, that's where you guys seem to be at right now with Star Wars. And yeah, it sucks, but it's like it's gonna pass. And at the end of the day, like if you don't like it, just don't engage with it. Write
Which
your
is
own
where we
story.
are.
Write your
A
own
lot, a
story.
lot,
Talk to your own
that's what
friends
we're
about
getting
these
to.
things. But like
That's where we're at.
all
It's
that
like
vitriol and venom for something, for a show that like these people can't even hear you scream to the rooftops, it's like don't even bother wasting your energy on that. Don't even give them the time of day. It's like a baby that stomps their feet and cry. If the mom gives it attention, they're most likely going to keep doing it again, unless there's like physical discipline involved. But if you say like, hey, you
yeah,
cut that out, they'll, they'll wise up.
no, because I mean you can't let them know that like it's okay. You know what I mean? Because if they do that with this, and they're gonna do that with everything, which is what they kind of are doing, and people are tired of taking it. As a fan of Star Wars, like that was where the whole thing about franchise being Star Wars is definitely dead right now. Like it's dead. It is dead. Period. Because you can't do that. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I guess you can, or you can try to. But I mean, when like you said, when they did it in comics, they'll be like, all right, well, this is a different iteration, or this is a reboot, or this is a whatever. So it's kind of like, okay, this is your version. Like before No Way Home came out, Tom Holland's version of Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield's version of Spider-Man, and Sam Raimi Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire, they didn't really have anything to do with each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
no,
they were just
and it
three
took
different sets of Spider-Man's movies that you could enjoy
exactly.
at your own leisure or not enjoy at your own, but they didn't have anything to do with one
They
another.
didn't. But what happened? A
When you
writer
do
came
No
into
Way
the room
Home,
and
yeah,
had narrative cohesion to put these three together and make it make sense. But
right.
a situation could have happened where someone who didn't understand the weight of these three characters and was just like, "Oh, I want to put everything on Andrew Garfield because like he doesn't get enough love. He's underrepresented or he's underrated, right?" And they could have put all their stock into that, and that would have showed in the final product. But thankfully, we had a writer, a studio, a company that understood these three characters enough where they could make the three come together and let it be organic enough to go, yeah, I like those three together. But it's like, unfortunately, that's not what's happening with Star Wars right now. There are people who are writing Star Wars, projecting their own thoughts, their own feelings onto these already established characters, or characters that are, I'm going to say, made from the ground up, but they're just hollow to be filled with whatever the writer wants it to be filled with. And then they say, this is Star Wars. And you know that's not the case, so just don't even acknowledge it.
Not a, it's hard to
Well,
not
you got
acknowledge
to
it
build
because
up the tolerance because
it's not a it's
don't
not a
lose sleep
thing.
over it.
It's like, at first, because if it didn't start like that, if it would have started like this, nobody would have cared. Like this little stupid story that's in its own vacuum that doesn't really involve anybody from history other than mentions or whatever
Mm-hmm.
is fine. But when they came in with it, like Mandalorian was okay because it was in its own little thing until they started involving Luke Skywalker, until they started involving Ahsoka and whatever, and not really doing anything with it. Then you have the Obi-Wan series, which was the one that I was looking forward to the most, and they just completely crap all over the first Star Wars story by making the thing all messed up. And then they'll tell you like, "Oh yeah, we're in control of Star Wars now, so everything that you knew before, yeah, that don't matter now. We're writing over all of that." And then they have the whole Boba Fett thing where they took that character, nerfed him to hell, and then wrote over everything that he
So
stood
why
for,
can't you
put
just
their own
enjoy it
character.
up to the point before they said they were gonna just discard everything else?
We do, but that's what we're
So
saying. Like you're
just
taking,
ride off with that
because
for a minute until it's time to come back.
you have this like level of detachment that like a lot of people should wish that they could have. But I mean, when some of these characters mean so much to these people, and then stuff like that, and you're seeing these legacy characters that meant much to you because you got them from your mother or your grandmother or your aunt or your whatever, your big brother, your big sister, and then they're crapping on them, and then they're morphing them to be worse than what they were once before and this and that and whatever. Like you just at the very least are gonna feel very disturbed and unhappy about the
Well, I wouldn't
situation.
say disturbed or unhappy, but here's how I can see it, right? Like I'm just gonna say I'm gonna back up my save file. When I watched Jurassic World 3 and I saw how they treated Grant and they treated Goldblum and they treated Sadler, I knew that wasn't the characters from 1993, right? So my mind was just like, oh, I remember these characters when they were like this. And even though I'm not watching those same characters in this movie because the director is having them do something a little bit differently, I know that the essence of said character is still there. And I can pivot to this thing now because the first option didn't work. Like the failsafe on that blew, so you gotta hit the next thing. But
Yeah.
it's not killing me. It's not disturbing me. Um, like again, I got into Godzilla through my dad, right? He showed me Godzilla, and I went from there with it. But like, I'm really not about to lose sleep over what was better. -1, Shin Godzilla, or Godzilla X Kong. All Godzilla is good Godzilla. Even 98's Zilla. Okay? It's someone's first. And if they're that inclined about enjoying the thing that they want to get interested in, they will do their research and go through the history of whatever it is they're currently on. Star Wars has been around for like what, 40 plus years?
Something like that.
It's already had
Yep.
maybe 10 hundreds of different writers. The quality is going to change throughout those years. The quality is going to be good for some, not for all. And that's okay. If you get to a point in a franchise where it's not for you, just back up your old save file and be like, this is what I remembered it for. This was my Star Wars. It's like, what was that movie that came out? Indiana Jones, right? Now,
Hmm.
I'm not big into Indiana Jones. I know the theme song. I crack the whip and make jokes about it and stuff like that. But like, it's not my thing. But when I see the Dial of Destiny, it doesn't speak to me because it's in this modern era of movies being cleaner, more CGI involved. Um, it's like the writing of the late 2000s is different from the writing and character cadence of the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. Okay, so I just back up the save file and go, man, I remember Raiders of the Lost Ark. I remember Kingdom of the Crystal Soul. Like that was me in my heyday for loving that franchise. But you don't always have to stay with it from front to back. And even if you did, it's like well, you want a badge, you want a cookie, like congratulations, you bought into a consumer product. Like it's not a big deal. Don't let it hurt you to that extent where you feel like you get cancer in your heart for people who don't even know you exist. Like it's it's nothing to lose sleep over. I get it. It sucks. Star Wars has been around for a long time. It's a juggernaut. It's cultural zeitgeist. But, like, it's just in the hands right now of people who don't know what they're doing with it. Kind of like Homelander. And at some point, either they're just going to be like, you know what? This franchise is too much to deal with. We don't want this pushed back. Disney's losing money, so Disney's going to cut us. Whatever. And then when the next writer comes in, they're going to be like, all right, Acolyte gone, Obi-Wan gone, Mandalorian gone. It happened, but we're not going to acknowledge it. And it's going to be the same thing, but now it's in your favor. But if it doesn't work for you, just back up your own save file and just enjoy it for what you remember it as.
That's it. All right, well, we gotta go back up our save files then.
Yeah, go back up your save files, man.
Let's go back up our save files.
Yeah, I'll be talking about this stuff like politics sometimes, and I'd be sitting in my chair so scared. I'm like, dang, what did this show do to make this person so mad? Like, I would legit go back and watch Star Wars, and I guarantee you I'd probably like the first 3 movies that came out, like the 2015 one onwards, with the girl. I probably would like it. Because the way you explained it to me with Palpatine's granddaughter being like one of the good guys, I was like, oh, that's interesting to me. You know, but the way you see that, it's like, oh, how could this be a thing? And there's no way. And it's like, bruh.
You know what it is, and then after this, then we gotta go. But you know what it is? It's kind of like the pain and agony somebody goes through from if they put into, like, let's say, Game of Thrones, right?
Okay.
If somebody's watched Game of Thrones from the first time it ever came on HBO,
Mm-hmm.
and they read all the books, they just completely fell in love with everything about it, and then they just like completely fanned out over the show, waited for season 2, waited for season 3, 4, 5, 6. Like, when that ending came and the dramatic shift that it took over the years of investment that they've had into that, those people are going to feel a different kind of way about it, and they do, than somebody who, hey, I heard this Game of Thrones thing is pretty good. All the seasons I've seen, all the seasons are on HBO. I'm going to go watch that on one weekend, or, you know, over the next the next month or so. Like, somebody who binge watches it, and that's the thing of these days, somebody who binge watches it is going to feel a bit different about it, probably, than somebody who's put in that time of investment of the years of its actual development. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they've grown with it. They've been there the whole time. So that's why I say, like,
but to such a level where you feel like it betrayed you, or like it took away your firstborn child. Like, what?
I think that, like, some of the way, like, well, I know that when I do, like, I kind of talk, but I kind of like put on like a production sometimes when I'm thinking, just to get my point across. Like, it is bad. It's very bad. But I mean, like, am I gonna go fight somebody in the street because they like The Last Jedi, or they like The Acolyte, or whatever the case? No, I'm not gonna fight nobody. I'm not even gonna really argue or thing with somebody. Like, I'll talk and debate, but the moment it turns serious, like, I'm out. For the people who really will go harass or assault or whatever somebody over a differing opinion on a show, a game, a movie, or anything like that, even politics or whatever, is stupid in my opinion. In my opinion, I think you're dumb to give something to something like that, and they don't even
Like,
know
you give
you
it that much essence of just oomph. and control over
But if
oneself.
but
It's
if
like,
but
bro.
if you are upset about it, I'm not gonna really discredit your feelings, because I mean, like, the investment or what it means to you, I can never know what it means to somebody. So I'm not gonna discredit how they may feel about it, even if they like this new crap. If
Yeah.
you're new, like, when I say things like I dislike the Joker, or I don't really care for Gotham, or I don't
Hmm.
really care about what they're doing to Star Wars or whatever the case may be, it's just not really for me. If they like it, cool. And I also have that kind of mindset where it's like, if you don't, like I said this about Gotham, I said, if you don't really know like what Batman is supposed to be, how it's supposed to develop, how it's supposed to come together, or whatever, you probably will enjoy Gotham. If you don't really know what the Joker's supposed to be, what he's supposed to stand for, whatever, as a character, you probably like the Joker movie. Or if you're just into psychology, like, I give it that credit. If you don't really know what Star Wars came from and stuff like that, and this is your introduction to Star Wars or whatever, you'll probably like the new movies or the new shows or whatever the case may be.
Hmm.
But when you do know, and you have read books, and you have read comic books, and it's like those people who come into Boruto and Naruto now and they say some of the most outlandish stuff. And you're like, yo, bro, what are you even talking about? You, who's been there for like a longer time. And I'm not gonna say you was running after it in the early 2000s or whatever it first came out, but you've been there for a minute. So if somebody who just watched Boruto is like, oh yeah, this one's thing, and Sakura sucks, and this one sucks, and that one sucks, and this one's dope because they're the most powerfulest right now, and you're just like, hey, you're kind of ignorant. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, and that's
but you're
where
not gonna
that's where you come in to like not dismiss their feelings, because again, you can't take away whatever someone's feeling, right? But you can just
right.
explain your side of the room and say like, hey, this is why like I like this, or why this thing doesn't work as strongly, right? Like again, I know enough of the Joker where like I liked the Joker movie, right? It created a different desired effect. Whereas like you have your history of the character, and then add this movie and it becomes a bad product. But it's like I don't know, like everyone's just so wired differently that like it's just going to be thrown in the middle of the room, and whoever gets it is going to have that moment with it, and that's okay. But when you get to people who are like just like, oh, pain, agony, like, I'm sorry, did you go through childbirth? No, but I watched Jurassic World 3 Dominion, so tick off. It's like, wow, like that's where we're at for just fictional things. That's wild.
Yeah. Nah, not that serious, man. You can
Yeah.
have your feelings about how you feel about it, but yeah, man, don't you know what I mean? Don't be going crazy about it. Like Marcel says, just back up your save file and go back to the ones that you like. I ain't watching nothing new. Like, I have so much apathy towards it now. They're like, yo, the Acolyte. I think like I watched like a review on like the first two episodes, and every time somebody puts out another review on a new episode, I'm like, yeah, let me see what that's about. And I just end up not watching it because I really just don't care anymore.
Yeah, like if you don't
They
care,
got
then like just don't engage with it. Like do like
they
take that
they
energy to other things that you like. I get it. It's tough to try to like the same things as your friend, or have a difference of opinion. But like let's stop pretending to hate these things, or let's stop pretending to like these things. If you don't like it, just be like, I don't like it. That's why I don't want to say die on a hill, because again it's fiction, but like I don't like JJK. I don't care for Demon Slayer. I watch the shows, but they don't speak to me in the way that they do for someone else. I can still tolerate them, but they just don't hit me the same way. And you shouldn't have to fight someone over that, or get into a scuffle with a loved one because of something that someone made, with the intention of you guys to not fight each other about it, but just to be like, hey, this thing is cool. Let's watch it together. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, man, don't be fighting your loved ones over nothing that doesn't specifically pertain to the two of y'all. Your loved ones, your friends. I mean, even with this political nonsense and other real world issues and whatever, like, people want to. What's good with people? Well, when do we lose the plot on not being able to talk to one another? You know what I mean? Like,
When
and
Vine
have a
came out.
reasonable and have a reasonable conversation or different opinion. Be like, listen, man, you go your way, I'm gonna go my way. But still, at the end of the day, it's respect.
I'm gonna dap you up. That's what's up.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, you could like it, not like it. You could be on this side or that side or whatever. Man, listen. I know you don't really. I know you don't. I know you hate sports, but I grew up as a Yankees fan in Boston. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
and never had one hand laid on me. You know what I mean? Like going to, I went to, oh man, you walk around early 2000s, you get jumped with this and that. I never got touched. And then when I go to Red Sox games or whatever, Yankees get, they heckle you a bit, stuff like that. I see people get heckled all the time, but it's not. Whatever happened to that? Whatever happened to, like, you just talk, you maybe poke some fun at each other and whatever, but it's all love.
America needs to back up its save file. That would be the biggest domain expansion ever done by man.
Y'all need to chill out.
Hey, listen, they call it the USA. We just need a US Plan B.
Y'all need to chill out, man. All right, so take us home.
Well, thanks to everyone who came out. I got nothing else to say. I think today was a pretty fun episode, even though this whole time I had no idea where it was gonna go. So I was just like, oh my gosh, like, what is this man gonna say? Money, anything else you want to add?
Nah, man, I'm good.
All right, cool. Well, with that being said, the Bible said it was early in the afternoon. And I definitely need all of you guys to please take a deep breath and say it with me. Stay happy, stay healthy, please. And I can't stress this enough. Don't do anything we wouldn't do, except going through like the pain and agony of like legitimate childbirth. But always keep on being creative, and hopefully we'll see you guys
we ain't gonna do that.
In the next episode. I've been Marcell.
This is Money Green. I'm going to back up my save file.
Yeah, you guys should go do it as well, and if you do, you'll be a blessing. Take care, good day, and God bless. Bye. Where's this story going?